Okay, so the first thing that you say is decision making, when to be aggressive or passive.
10 seconds. Down to 5 seconds. Has
Um,
yet to locate a bomb.
so is it decision making with this one, or is it reaction time?
Uh, it's kind of a two separate things. It's reaction time and decision making. They're two different things. I kind of clumped it together in a paragraph.
Okay. Um, so let's tackle reaction time first. So there's like you even say it in there. There's no like thing that you can do to improve reaction time. It's just like, well, one way you can do it is getting a cleaner diet, making sure that you're getting a right amount of sleep, like just taking care of your body so your brain functions better, and your brain and your body, your hands, whatever, are communicating faster. Um, but I mean, I don't think you're really willing to do all of that just to get a faster reaction time. Um, I mean
Cleaner
it.
diet.
I mean, yeah, like a cleaner diet and stuff like that. Like you should always be, in order to have peak performance, you should be doing everything you can to keep that performance there and also increase it. So, I mean, 180 to 190 is, I want to say average, maybe a little bit above average. Um, like it's not going to be a make or break thing that's going to drastically improve you as a player. There's far more important things that should be worried about instead of just reaction time. It's a huge thing that um people often worry too much about when it comes to just FPS games in general is, oh, I need to have the lowest amount of reaction time possible. And especially in a game like Siege where mechanics isn't even, I don't want to say that important, but it's not as important as other FPS games. Like there are far more important things that you should spend your time worrying about, thinking, fixing, whatever, instead of just, reaction time alone. Maybe, work on it slightly, or whatever it is you want to do, but it shouldn't be this number one concern. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay. All right, so now let's talk about whether to be aggressive or passive. So, give me a situation like, let's say, you and I were in a 1v1. Give me a situation where you might struggle with something like that, or even a situation that actually happened on this map, or whatever it might be.
Okay. Okay. So in a scrim, say for example, they're holding bar.
Mhm.
The other team's holding bar,
Mhm.
right? And we're doing a office this side pushover to this side.
Mhm.
So we're coming in piano here, and in scrims usually, the default now that we've seen is someone plays top blue and the other one's top library or top main, we call it.
Mhm.
Usually we have the other teams usually they have a shield here, and a Jaeger plays here. So theoretically, what we should do is burn their utility, get the shield. This window here could help. This window could help get rid of the shield here, and top blue shield here. But first, we past scrims shown us, we haven't successfully, be able to clear these two spots very well.
Mhm.
This wall here as well is always reinforced when we do scrims, and it's always electrified in a arcade, so it's pretty hard for us to get the wall. We tried bringing Chalet and whatnot. Didn't seem to work out some of the time.
It's gonna be below.
Yeah, look for a drone below as well. Like we went to main lobby itself.
Well, I mean, one could be in dining, getting this wall, and then the other one could be, it's probably top fireplace here. Somewhere around here, probably behind that pillar. Getting the other wall.
Okay. But for me, past scrims, I struggled a bit, especially with the I think it's utility clearing for me.
Mhm.
But you know, waiting, you know, and then I usually say, okay, I gotta make a play. You know, we aren't clearing utility quite well, so I gotta make a play, and it doesn't work out most of the time. I'm not sure that's a good example of being aggro and passive.
So you feel the need to play aggressive because you can't clear the utility?
Yeah, so I try to tell my team, can we clear this? Because there's a Rooney here at one point. They're like, let's clear this Rooney, and I guess it was a miscommunication. We couldn't clear the Rooney, and we couldn't clear the AS and the shield, so all their utility was still good. So
So
I was like, since we can't clear it, we gotta make a play somehow.
how much time is in this situation?
About, I think I remember it was like a minute 15-30, I think.
A minute to a minute 30?
Yeah, around minute 15.
Okay. And you feel the need to just make a play?
Yeah, because, yeah, definitely.
So when it comes to this example in specific and you feeling the need to make a play or play aggressive, you're trying to put too much load on yourself in order for the benefit of the team, instead of dispersing that load between the team. That's the whole point of having 4 other people on your team is to play together, right? And you're skipping the step of trying to fix the team by making up for it with trying to make that play. Does that make sense? So you shouldn't feel responsible for trying to clear people out of areas, because you said it yourself, it usually doesn't work. And if you keep doing that, then that's your own mistake happening over and over, right?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in this situation here, you can't feel you can't feel the need to just do everything yourself. Like it takes the collection of the team to successfully clear these shields and this burn and stuff, right? But in a more broader sense, when it comes to playing aggressive, it shouldn't be in a situation where you feel the need to do it. It should be in a situation where you have to do it for the benefit of the round. So if it's like a 3v5 or whatever, or a 2v5, like, still take the steps of playing with your team or your teammate, but you're going to have to kind of grab your nuts and just do your job, so to speak, and try your hardest to win the round. It should be in a moment of desperation, so to speak. Not necessarily full desperation, but there should be something happening where it needs to happen, not something that you just feel like you want to do, or whatever it is. Because if there's a minute to a minute and 30 left in the round, you throwing your life away that early on is your mistake. It's not the mistake of your team, because, well, let me take a step back. It is the mistake of your team, but you're making the mistake even worse by you throwing your life away. Does that make sense? Like a minute and 30 in a round is still plenty of time. So you need to take the step back, focus on the team more than just you trying to make the play for the lack of the team playing together, right? In terms of burning and using their utility, right?
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I definitely shouldn't throw my life away there. I should definitely try to coordinate it for another type of push. But what do you suggest, if you have anything? Suggest like since we can't take top floor, the site is bar and I forgot the other room, by first floor by the window.
Games.
Room, but yeah, games. Bar and games. Since the site is that, what do you suggest we should do? Because we can't take top floor because we don't have any utility. Yeah. What do you suggest? If you have
why don't you have utility left?
We miscommunicated. Throwing. We mistimed it because how like a Jaeger ADS is like 10 seconds. We mistimed it with the flashbangs and the grenades and ashes whatnot.
Well, that's a simple fix. Just go into a custom game and dry run it. Like, just bring like a smoke and a Jaeger on one team, and then bring whoever's burning, the other 3 on the attack, and then just dry run it. I mean, like, burning and timing, like, having good timing is all really just communication. And it seems like your team is lacking quite a bit of that, if you can't clear, you know, 1 or 2 shields. And when it comes to this wall here, I don't know if they're banning Mav or not, but, like, this wall is free to Mav. Like, they can't really do too much to you in terms of killing you, especially if you send someone Fireplace Door. Or you... Huh?
I think they did ban Mav.
Okay, well, how many times have you scrimmed this map?
Not a super lot. Maybe I'd say this past week.
Could you give me a rough number?
I'd say total of 4 times, and we.
Oh yeah, that's nothing. That's nothing. Yeah, you're expecting too much when it comes to that. Like, you still have to learn the basics of the map. So yeah, but when it comes to utility clear, in any situation, like, it just falls under basic communication. Like, okay, someone drones. Okay, there's 2 ADSs and 2 YMIs. Okay, I need, I don't know what your lineup is, but I need Nomad to dump, and I need Zo concussion, or whatever, or you know, whatever it is, right? That's pretty basic. They rotate, they dump utility, and then whoever's nading or using their Zo, they use it, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I have to directly say the. I think in that scenario, I think I should directly say, who's doing the, like, maybe like Gnome and Zo, like you said.
Yeah.
Because I think in the scrim, I was like, somebody burn this, please. Like,
yeah. Yeah. See, that's what I mean by lack of basic communication, right? Like, even just saying someone's operator or name, like, can go a long way. But I want to get more back on track with you. Because this session's about you. We can talk about your team after, and stuff like that. Did what I say about being aggressive help?
Does
that make sense?
Being aggressive, you mainly want to do it as like a last resort kind of thing. So I don't know. Take for example, like bank downstairs, the 2v4. They're trying to go for plant. You're in red hall. That situation, I probably should be on the hatch, or if hatch is untakeable, then definitely go for the trade, or at least, you know, you have to take the gunfight there. But you know, if it's like a 3v3, most probably is play neutral.
Yeah. One more thing that I will say about playing aggressive and passive is kind of understanding the check marks when it comes to it. So what you just said there between the man count is, you know, how much time is left in the round. If there's, like, okay, let's say this situation right here. Your piano, you know, there's the aruni here. There's a shield top blue, and there's 25 seconds left, right? Now this is where you might need to play aggressive because you don't have the time or the resources to rotate back around, right? And try to attack the bomb site directly, because that just won't work. So this is a situation where now you would have to play aggressive in order to take map control away. So if there's a limited amount of time and a surplus of the enemy's map control, then you need to play aggressive in order to not capitalize, but take control of that map control, because you don't have the time to properly do it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Also, man count. Depending on the man count, you know, if there's 20 seconds left in the round and it's a 2v4 and you're on defense, you can probably play a little bit more passive than you're expecting, unless the attackers have a significant portion of map control where you're pretty much stuck in a corner or a room where you really can't do too much with it, right? So do you see how all of this is kind of tying together?
Yeah, so as a defender, recap for me.
So time is one thing. evaluating the time, man count, map control, and yeah, those are the biggest things when it comes to this.
Okay. So say for example, say we it's like a let's say it was a 3v5, okay?
Mhm.
And we lost 2 people in the beginning, let's say like to roamers, and they backed off. And it's getting let's say it's like a little bit under a minute, like 50 seconds.
Mhm.
Let's say we take top floor, and now we got it to a 3v3.
Mhm.
And we got the top floor control, and then we managed to flush out the defenders out of bar and games.
Mhm.
So it's like possible to go for plant. I think the best play would be you know, get someone down to games, get someone above, and then one person watching the plant outside first floor, and then go for plant. Or otherwise, if plant is not possible through like the angles, if the defender's holding outside, then you know, go for kill. But if possible, plant. What do you think? Like playing, well, if we're going for plant, like more passive, but going for kill, aggressive. What do you take?
You should always be going for plant unless someone calls not to go for kill.
Okay. Here's my next question.
Mhm.
When is the like when is the right choice to go for plant? Because I know like these situations can be stressful, and like you have to make a choice in like a split second. What do you think is like like when is it better to go for plant or go for kill? Oh, and excluding time, because if there's like no time left, then go for kill, probably, maybe.
I mean that's like, it's very situational. That's a call that needs to be made in a split second, and also everyone needs to commit to it. Because can you stop moving, please?
Oh, sorry.
It's a call that needs to be committed to from everyone that's still alive in the team. Because if they don't, if one person's out of position, or if one thing slips, and that entire thing just gets fucked, pretty much. So, like, in what you're saying, like if the defenders are all out of the bomb site, and you know they're going to be pretty spread out, right? And if you're in a 3v3, you now have 3v1s, right? Because if they're all not going to be in the same spot, because they're all going to leave their own way, right? From the bomb site, they're all not going to go through the same door or window or whatever it is. They're going to be going their own ways because they're going to take the route that's safest for them. And even if they do go through the same doorway or whatever, they're not all going to sit in the same position. They might hold crossfires, but they're not going to be in the same room, or like, you know, as close as you and I are right now, right? So now it's up to you to capitalize on the fact that you now have the bomb site control. It's just that you're not in the bomb site, right?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Are you
So,
sure?
yeah, it's just the difference is that we're going to be in the bomb site.
What do you mean by
Right.
that?
So you said like they're spread out. Most of the time they should be spread out. They're not gonna be the same. They're not gonna hold the same angle. They're gonna be their own position. So I think if they're that spread out, then we're gonna maybe in that situation we'll have to force them to retake site when we go for plant. That would be ideal, right?
Yeah, because I mean, if you clear the bomb site, they have to go somewhere, right?
Okay.
This is what I mean by that. You having three 3v1s is that if they're not in the bomb site, they're somewhere, and they're going to be close to the bomb site, so their positioning is going to be pretty predictable. So like, I don't, let's go downstairs just to kind of apply a real life situation to this. So, you know, let's say there's someone playing, you know, in bar, close to the door here, right? You start doing vertical, this guy leaves, okay? He's going to leave here because it's the fastest and safest. So he's either going to run all the way around in fireplace and you're going to see him, or he's going to come here, right? Right?
Yeah. Right on, right on.
so you know where he's going, just because probably you're gonna see him if you're the sledge doing vertical. You're gonna see him leave, and then, you know, you're either gonna have a drone or you're gonna have a teammate sitting K9, holding the door, right? Because by that point you're setting yourself up for a kill. So if you're sledging above bar, you know, this guy, you know, he's in here somewhere. You don't know exactly where. He's gonna get pushed out, and you know, he's probably gonna go through that door, right? Or he goes deeper into the bomb site. That's always another option. But either way, you're going to know where he's going. Vaguely. I'm not saying exactly, but vaguely. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then, you know, if there's someone playing, you know, blue or mud or whatever, or blue stairs, you know, this guy, like, wherever, okay, so you can obviously see where the defenders are at, right?
Well, for the, okay, so for, like, main lobby guy, he's gonna be pretty pressured. That guy could be very easily seen when we coordinate it. This blue person here, it could be a little bit tough, you know, but
well, what I'm getting at here is you can see where people are just by info or you looking at them, right? Like you can just see them. This is not like a trick thing. So where you shouldn't worry when it comes up like trying to understand the positioning of the enemy. You shouldn't worry about what's clear. You should worry about let me rephrase this. You should worry about what's clear and then use what you know is clear to determine where they're going to be. Does that make sense? So if they're not in position A, they're going to either be in position B. Then it's a checklist. If they're not in position B or A, they can only be in position B or C because you can see position A and you have clear info on it. And if you go down the checklist, okay, they're not in position B, then they can only be in position C. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's how you should approach trying to clear and not necessarily predict, but understand the positioning of the enemy. They're always going to put themselves in the best position they can, where not only they can be safe as possible, but also still have an impact towards the round. Right?
Yeah, okay. I think I get it. So you just have to it's mainly game sense at that point. You just have to assume if we know this side's clear and this side's clear, then you just assume okay, they gotta be close by, right? Like
yeah.
Somewhere here.
It's not even game sense though. It's just common knowledge and process of elimination. Like if I know that bar and games is clear, if I know all of that is clear, right? Even the hallway, like fridge or like kegs or whatever, they can only be blue, fireplace, and that's pretty much it. And then everything from those two positions outward into the map. But they're gonna be as close to the bomb site as they can be, right? Just because they need to defend it. They're not just gonna completely leave. Like they're gonna be close here to the point where they can still pressure, but they're not gonna be in the bomb site because you have info on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
Now let's go back to when to play aggressive and passive. So we talked about playing aggressive, and we kind of understand the basics when it comes to that is, you know, time, man count, map control, right? The same thing goes for playing passive is time, man count, and map control, right? And this might happen more commonly on defense, just because you're usually set up a little bit better if you play your defensive rounds correctly. You're gonna have better map control than the attackers, and you're also gonna have better time's gonna be to your advantage. The only time isn't to your advantage is when the diffuser's planted, because now you are crunched for time versus the attackers. So you need to understand that and then take advantage of understanding that. Does that make sense? So the easiest way to put this in one sentence is to evaluate a situation and a round. And that falls under, and then everything falls under what I just said with man count, map control, and time. And you know, I threw out an example earlier of a situation where it might be a 2v4 and you're on defense, right? But there's 15 seconds left. That's a situation where you might not necessarily need to play so aggressive. Even though man count is low, you can still hold your ground. Either the attackers are going to push you or they're going to be holding angles, right?
Yeah.
So, yep. Go ahead.
So in a 2v4, if you're defending, when to play aggro and passive, I think in that scenario for me, I think I would play it passive for sure. I would have to. Okay, personally, I think I would in my head I would think, okay, are they trying to go for plant? Otherwise, if they're going for plant, then I will have to defend the bomb site, which is take the gunfight so they can stop.
Let me stop you there. You should always be expecting the attackers to go for a plant, but be ready for them to try to kill you.
Okay, yeah. So be ready to peek, but
not be ready to peek. Just be ready to take a gunfight. You're going in a 2v4 with 15 seconds left. You're going to have to take at least one gunfight. Someone's going to be holding your cross. So you're going to have to fight someone in order to, you know, use your nitro for the plant or whatever it is. But you don't need to fight all four. Sometimes you only need to kill one. And that would be the planter.
Okay. So, yeah, I understand. Just
Okay.
be ready to take a fight. If there's a, like, say for example, if someone's playing in games here. Like, be ready to kill this guy, but also be ready to kill this guy in the window here. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah. I mean, this guy should, if he's planting here, your primary focus should be the guy in the window, because the diffuser, you know, he has to get off plant, find the angle, fight you. Like he's much less of a threat than this guy in the window covering.
Yeah. And that's in that situation. Yeah, go for the window guy, and then maybe above. You know, maybe if it's clear or not. If top floor is clear, then planner should be a freebie. Opinion?
Yeah, like if you're on defense and top floor is clear, yeah, this guy should be dead. Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Okay. Do you have any questions or anything about the aggressive and passive, or aggressive passive stuff?
I think I actually like, you know, get the general gist. It's mainly everything else should be situational, right?
I mean, yeah, like I
depends on what happens.
Yeah, I could spend hundreds of hours breaking down every single situation and how you should play it. What I'm explaining to you will be much more impactful if you apply it to every situation versus, you know, however many I list off.
Okay.
Just make sure you keep in mind that you evaluate a situation or a round.
Okay. Evaluate the situation.
Yes.
Got it.
Look,
okay.
Like, don't be so focused on the middle of your screen. The top of your screen also gives a lot of great info. Time and man count.
Okay. Okay. Didn't think of that before. Got it.
Okay, so let's go back upstairs for this next one. So you said another big flaw is forgetting about other angles.
Yeah, for this one,
this pretty much this is like something that we just went over, right? With like trying to push and make that play.
Yeah, it's generally when this generally only happens in like a stressful situation. Like maybe a new angle was opened and
hold on, I'm gonna pause you there for a second. Sorry, I just thought of something that might help with what your team struggles with. Okay, so hold on. So where's this shield at in fireplace that you're talking about? It's like here, right?
Like right. I'll throw a drone on it. Like right there.
Okay. Alright, come downstairs. You have an Ash in your lineup, right?
You should be.
Yeah, so send this guy game's window and get the shield. You don't have to burn anything.
Game's window?
Yeah. Go over here.
15 seconds left.
See this? Go outside the window. You can even go prone back here.
You have been spotted
And just
by
shoot the Ash charge.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see.
5 seconds.
Zofia won't work because it curves.
I see. Yeah, I'll bring it up. Definitely bring it up.
The time limit.
Sorry to interrupt you. I just thought of that. And that would deal
No,
with
that's good.
half of the problem that you guys are struggling with.
That's a good angle. I didn't think of that.
All that player would really need to do is just go into a custom game with one of you guys and learn it. It can't be too difficult once you understand the angle.
I just want to quickly touch on everything else because I assume like we spent most of the time of the session on that. I just want to like quickly touch on the rest of the subjects just to gain some
Protect the
insight.
bombs. 10 seconds remaining. Down to 5 seconds.
Go back to
Keep an eye out for Op 4 attempting to defuse
the
your
topic
bomb.
of creating my other angles. For me, this happens when it's pretty stressful and I need to zone in. It is like when you need making a desperate play. When I'm making a desperate play, I generally like forget about some of the other angles because I'm in like this 1v2 situation. So sometimes I forget about other angles, and I notice myself like dying to these other angles that I forget about because I'm in this clutch situation.
Mm-hmm.
I can't like remember everything. You know, it's kind of like an information overload. I don't know if you know what I mean, but that's what I like. I think I struggle with is you know the angles. Just maybe I walk into an angle and I didn't realize I walked into it.
Okay, so when it comes to this, the reason a lot of pro players and higher elo players have the ability to kind of understand angles more, and you know pre-fire people or whatever it is, is not only because they've played the game for a long time, but also they've seen the same thing so many times over and over and over. So let's talk about this situation here where there's a shield top blue and fireplace, right? So you said that you've scrimmed this map 4 times already, right? Would you agree that if you scrimmed the map 500 times, you would have a better understanding of things?
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's how people have the ability to play situations a little bit closer to the cuff, so to speak, and understand them more, is because they've seen something so many times to the point where they don't even need to really think about the situation. They've already dealt with it before and successfully dealt with it to the point where they already know what to do, right? So for example, let's talk about opening master wall in Villa, right? The triple wall. You know, a team that has scrimmed that map, you know, countless times knows how to get rid of the wall denial on the wall, right? And then they just know what to do, just because they've done it so many times, and there's an understanding of what everyone's supposed to do and what what the team's supposed to do and what everyone knows what to do on an individual level, right? There's just a basic understanding of what's happening, what's going on, just because there's been so many repetitions of the situation and the basic thing, right? So that's where dying to angles or stuff that you haven't seen before comes into play, is because you haven't had these repetitions of the thing that you're playing against. And once you deal with those things that are really common but you don't know how to deal with them yet, that will then free up brain capacity and your thought process for the things that you haven't seen before, so that way you can then put your thoughts or more of your thoughts towards those things. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So yeah, that's yeah. I died to angles I haven't seen before. Usually on this map, I suppose. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So like, if they're like in this situation, like if they're holding library, like top blue, fireplace, all that, if they're playing library here, and you know they have an angle on this, and you're peeking piano door, after about, I don't know, 5-10 times of you dying off of this, you know how to deal with it, right? That's where just having these repetitions comes into play, is you already know about it, it's not a concern to you, you know how to deal with it, and you know what it is. And now you would focus on something else that you haven't seen before and give that more thought, so that way you properly go about your way of dealing with that issue. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Just need more time on the map.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And one way to kind of, I don't want to say necessarily shortcut it, but excel that process is really drilling it into your mind of things that you're seeing. So, you know, it might be like a shield on coastline on vase, right? Looking hookah. That's a pretty common thing. Like,
Mhm.
once you see that, you should take note of how you dealt with it or your team dealt with it, and if it was the right way and you successfully did it and it was clean, then take mental note of that, so that way when you come up with that situation again, you automatically know how to deal with it, right?
Okay. Yeah, I think I got it so far.
Okay. Do you have any questions so far about anything?
Yeah. So, uh, this is sort of a concern of mine.
Mm-hmm.
It's and I'm not really sure how to. I think maybe just playing more. But I did take a 3 month break around Shadow Legacy, and I came back like near the middle of Neon Dawn, and before I took a break, my hearing, because I used to like be able to hear like Cavieras flanking me. Nowadays I am, I let's say on Clubhouse, right, in Cash, uh I didn't recognize the canine wall, the single wall on con being open from the outside until it was already open. So I think my listening and pinpointing people's positioning kind of decreased over time, or it decreased after my break. So I
It
kind
it,
of
it,
kind of like forget
it
like
has
listening
it
to
hasn't
things.
decreased. It's just neutral, and the reason it's neutral is because you took a break, and now you're trying to go over the same footsteps that you once were already walking. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So instead of making new footprints as an individual, as a player, you're now having to go back and re-step in the footprints that are already there, meaning that you don't have any fresh footprints being made right now because you took that break. So you're having to go back, rewire things, and sometimes you might even be a different player in some forms. And you might be focusing on something else that you haven't focused on before, which also means um, that you're not paying as much attention to something like that because you might be a different individual in some aspects, right?
Okay.
Um,
In a way, I do feel like I've changed. I don't feel like the same person in a way.
mhm,
Um, for after this
sure.
break. Um,
Yep,
but
go
like, do
ahead.
you know like how to get that kind of position again, or is it just playing the game?
Um, well, when it comes to like understanding audio cues again,
Yeah, like my once were.
you have different headphones or anything?
No, I haven't changed it.
Okay. Um, I think what might be happening is what I just said about you having to re-go over your footprints again. Or it could be that you're making new steps in a different direction as an individual. Like you even said yourself, I've changed a little bit. So maybe on this new path that is very slight, but there is a difference, maybe this individual or this version of you as a player hasn't um retouched on those audio cues or that skill set. So I would just be more conscious of it
Okay,
during the round. Just
conscious.
yeah, maybe stop worrying so much about some things that don't matter and start worrying about things that do matter. And I don't know what that is for you because I'm not you. So you know, it goes back to what we just said a moment ago about this brain capacity thing. This ability to take in a certain amount of information. Everyone has their own information cap, and they can only comprehend so much in such a little amount of time. So make sure cut the fat off pretty much. Like don't use your thought process and your brain capacity for things that don't really matter. Like I don't know, you know, whatever it is, right? Like whatever, you know, are they bringing a nook this round? Just to give an example, that doesn't matter
Uh,
until you might hear an FMG9 or you know nades or something like that, right? Or you know whatever it is. Um, just make sure you're using your thoughts for the right things.
okay, so it's kind of like a uh, what's it called, like a capacity, kind of like a fuel, like a gas tank, like resources. Dots are your resources. You have to spend them wisely.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's just like
Okay.
utility.
Okay. Okay. And then once I'm like grown accustomed to it, then I should be able to just be back in the groove.
Yeah,
Right.
sure. Um,
Okay.
you know, you might have to focus on those things a little bit more in order to get back where you were. And you're already half of the way there, which is understanding what you're struggling with again, and then it's just relearning that one more time. But taking a break is something that you said you wanted to eventually go pro, right? In the DM.
Uh huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's you need to be consistent with this game because this game is very unforgiving for players who don't commit. So
Okay.
you have to make sure that you're either you're in or you're out because if you're only halfway in the door, then you're gonna be making the same mistakes and struggling with the same things for even longer.
Okay. So what is your suggestion then? Should I just because I think just consistently keep like pick up the pace and consistently keep playing. What do you think? To get back in the groove and eventually go pro.
Just make sure that you're not focusing on the wrong things, or make sure that you aren't focusing on the wrong things. This brain capacity that we talked about, right? Like being conscious of what you're hearing in specific of this issue that you have. You know, you might be thinking about something that, again, you know, I can't tell you what it is, but you need to take a step back and think about, or not think about, but understand what you're thinking about during a round. And then somewhere in there, there's going to be some things that you don't need to be thinking about, and then use that for something else that you might be struggling with and be conscious of it.
Okay. And I just want to reaffirm something because I think the answer is just just take a break, go for a walk. But how do you personally avoid let's say you had like a really stressful game and the round could have been won if something went some other way and how do you personally avoid burnout? Because I think the answer would just be take a break, take a step away. I think for me it got to the point where I needed to take that break. But what about you?
Um, hmm. I've never had to legitimately answer this question.
Oh.
In the short answer, I don't get burnt out. I don't think about it.
Oh, how?
I just don't think about it. It's not a thought in my mind about burnout. I get it asked
Oh.
almost question. I get this question almost asked every day in chat or you know whatever it is. I I I don't. It's not even something that's in my head. It's um me and as an individual. If I commit to something, I commit to it 110%. Like it's not something that comes into my mind where I think about being burnt out or whatever it is. And breaks are good, don't get me wrong, but it's not something that's always in the front of my mind. You know, this might be one thing that you're focusing on that you shouldn't be, right? Is you always worrying about being burnt out. You know, this is an example of what I was just saying a moment ago about you this capacity for information. You like cutting the fat out of your thought process. And you know, this might be one of it where you're getting burnt out and you're thinking of it in between a round that you just lost, right?
Okay. So
Um,
I
sorry, go
sorry, go
ahead.
ahead. Um real okay, so real okay, so I really need to put what's important, spend my thoughts wisely. But to my next follow up question is since obviously this break, I sad to say, but I consciously feel for sure, like definitely like this break, it broke off my because before I was consistently playing, but this break definitely like broke my consistency. Do you think it's possible to? Because I was at the top at one point, but do you think it's possible for me now after this break to get back to the top and then playing consistently again?
Yeah,
Or would
absolutely.
I have a harder time? Would I have a harder time now that I took this break?
You need to stop worrying about where you were and start worrying about being better where you were. It's not about getting where you once were. It's about surpassing where you once were.
So it's definitely possible. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. It's also it's even more possible that you can be better than you once were before you took the break. Like every player has their own individual struggles. It's just how you go about and tackle those struggles that makes the difference with an individual or with themselves, sorry.
Okay. I
You
see. Oh yeah.
you're far too focused on trying to achieve the position of skill that you once were in. You need to be worrying about that shouldn't even be a thought in your mind. You should be worrying about beating yourself where you once were.
Ah, I see. Yeah, I definitely wasn't using my thoughts wisely. That's a good point. But well, I think this has been my last question.
Hmm.
So in a comp setting, uh, they'll definitely people like put emotion. Obviously, for me, like I I won't I don't really think about getting mad. You know, it's because it's just mistakes, right? But there's gonna be like players in comp, probably most likely on my team as well. That there'll be players that'll be emotionally what's the saying, like they're mentally chalked or
Hmm.
whatever.
Hmm.
Um, how do you like? How would you personally like uplift them? You know, like saying like how would you like deal with a player who's mentally chalked in middle of a scrim, for example? How would you personally deal with that?
I tell them to get their shit together.
Oh, okay.
There's no reason to sugarcoat something. Speak your mind. Go drink some water. Go take a breather. Whatever you have to do. It's a mental reset. Um, I mean like it's it's you can't do some like you are not going to be the difference maker in someone else's performance or mentality. They have to find it in themselves to get their shit together, but you might push them a little bit towards that edge of fixing whatever it is that's happening. Like there's absolutely no reason that you should feel the need to sugarcoat something, because more times than not, it will most likely lead to something happening because the person who's struggling doesn't understand the magnitude of what they're doing. Does that make sense?
Okay,
Would you
I see.
would you rather say something 100 times and have it be repeated, or say something once but be a little bit of a dick to some people?
Wait, I didn't hear the last person. I didn't hear the last part.
Would you rather say something 100 times and have the same thing happening, or say something once and be a little bit of a dick to someone?
I guess I'd be a dick then.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, it's not even that you're being a dick, because once someone stops caring about your performance or not getting on your ass about something, that shows that they don't care anymore.
Hmm. Okay. Um, and do you? Because okay, I think in response, if that happens to me, I think I would get into one-on-one with them. Uh, because now I realize, I it's up to them for them to perform and them to uh get over their mental chalkness. would you agree to like talk to them about it?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
It's not always just about the game. It's more times than not, it's usually stuff outside of the game that affects the game more than the game itself.
Okay. Oh, outside again. Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Outside circumstances can affect your thing,
Mm-hmm.
affect your mood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Some players, I see them are like that. But I think, okay, so right now, honestly, I think I have the full capability now. To do what I need to do. I think I have all the like. I don't think I have any more like mistakes to tick on. Maybe like sometimes I could have made this a tweak to my aggroness or passiveness, but I think personally, to be honest, I think I got the capability to make it up there.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay now.
Everyone has a capability. It's just how you go about it.
Okay. Yeah, I think I have the right mindset now. So I think if that's the end of the session, I don't think I don't have more questions.
Yeah, sure. And we can. I feel bad for not really finishing your list too much. Or actually, no, did we?
No, we did.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay, sorry.
we like
Um,
other angles, listening callouts.
okay.
Yeah,
Um,
that should be all.
yeah, I don't like to cut clients short. Um, but do you have any further questions or anything?
Yeah, I like besides that, like the only thing the only question for you is after this, I definitely want to send a VOD to
Mm-hmm.
you. So I I don't know how not too familiar like Patreon sending you money. Could I potentially uh go to the $20 right now and then we can figure out a schedule for the VOD after this
Yeah, yeah, we can do that.
this
Yeah.
month.
This
Okay, so
month?
it's possible this month.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
this month. Okay,
Yeah.
so right after the session, I can just D rank 20 and then we're good.
Yeah, and if it charges you anything, I can get that figured out.
Okay, okay, gotcha.
Um,
That should be everything.
all right.
What was that?
No, no, you're all good.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm glad I could help you out, and I am looking forward to our coaching session. Or sorry, our vaudeville session. Wow.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you the the coaching role in my Discord. If you could leave a review, I'd appreciate it. And make sure to be honest in there. You know, don't be afraid to speak your mind. But other than that, if you don't have any further questions, I assume.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Yeah, I'm gonna give you that role, and then yeah, if you have any further questions, you know that you can't think of right now, just send me a DM on Patreon. All right.
Okay.
All right, I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to the next session.
All right. See you next VOD review.
Yep, I'll see you later.